If you have any questions about any of the content in this video, just drop a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Enjoy the video. Okay, so let's make a start with question 1, part A. So for this question, we need to simplify the expression x squared multiplied by x to the power of 8. Okay, so for this one, all we need to do is we need to realise the base is the same and they are being multiplied, so we need to add the powers. So we end up with x to the power of 2 plus 8, which is equal to x to the power of 10. So our answer is the second one. Okay, let's move on to part B. So for part B, we need to simplify the expression a squared divided by a to the power of 8. Again, the base is the same, but this time they're being divided, so we need to subtract the powers. So we have a to the power of 2, take away 8, which gets us a to the power of negative 6, and it's our third answer here. Okay, let's move on to part C. So for part C, we need to simplify the expression y squared, and that's all being raised to the power of 8. So this is the same as y squared. When the squared is being raised to another power, in this case in 8, we need to do 2 and then multiplied by the other power, which is 8. So y to the power of 16, which is our first answer. Moving on to question 2, let's start with part A. So we need to simplify the following expressions. We've got 4x being raised to the power of negative 2. Okay, so when there's a negative power, we do 1 over the base, so 1 over our 4x, then we take away the negative sign and apply the power. So 1 over 4x squared is equal to 1 over 16x squared. Okay, let's move on to part B. So for part B, we've got 8 to the power of 2/3, and this is the same as saying 8 with the cube root applied, all being squared. So the cube root of 8 is equal to 2 squared, and 2 squared is equal to 4. Just before we carry on with the video, I'd like to remind you that a full in-depth course is available for this topic over on my website. It includes everything you need, from the theory to complete worked examples and even your own exam at the end to test yourself. Head on over to benthetutor.com to see all the courses I have available that guarantee your grades will go to the moon. Enjoy the rest of the video. Right then, question 3 says simplify the following expression. So we've got 5 squared multiplied by 5 raised to the power of negative 4, all divided by 5 to the power of 3. Let's start with our numerator. So we've got 5 squared multiplied by 5 to the power of negative 4. The base is the same, they're being multiplied, so we need to add the powers. So this is equal to 5 to the power of negative 2. Okay, our question is now 5 to the power of negative 2 being divided by 5 to the power of 3. So for this one, base is the same, being divided, so we need to subtract the powers. So this is equal to 5 to the power of negative 2 take away 3, so 5 to the power of negative 5. And that is our final answer. Okay, let's move on to part 4. So for part 4, we again need to simplify the following expression. So our numerator is a bit of a mess, and then our denominator is not as bad. So for our numerator, the first thing is to do the integers. So 5 multiplied by 2 gets us 10, so we have 10. We've then got x squared, and then we've got x to the power 4, so this is x to the power 6 overall. We've then got y cubed and y to the negative 2, so overall this is just y. And this is being divided by 10 to the power, 10x, to the power of 6, and then to the power of just 1 on the y, so just y. Okay, we can see this is the same thing. So any values that are the same being divided by each other is simply equal to 1. So our answer is just 1. Moving on to part 6 and part A, we need to work out 27 raised to the power of 2/3. So this is the same as the cube root of 27, all being squared. The cube root of 27 is 3, and then we've got the squared applied to it. 3 squared is 9. Okay, moving on to 6b, we need to work out 32 to the power of 3/5. So this is the same as 32, our base. We've then got the fifth root, and this is all being cubed. Okay, so the fifth root of 32 is equal to 2, and this is being cubed. 2 cubed is equal to 8. And finally, we've got part C, which is work out 64, all being raised to the power of 3/2. Again, our base, 64, square root, and it's being cubed. Square root of 64 is 8, plus or minus 8 to be precise, and then the whole thing is being cubed. So we actually get two answers for this one. So we have 8 cubed, which is 512, but remember we've got plus or minus, so it's plus or minus 512. Just before we get into the next question, if you'd like to get some one-on-one support, just drop me an email over at tutoring@benthetutor.com and we can arrange a session. Okay, and moving on to the final set of questions, which is for question 7. The first part is to express the cube root of y in the form y raised to the power of k. Alright, so remember the cube root can be represented as 1/3. So this is simply just y and then raised to the power of 1/3. Nice and easy. Okay, 7b, express 1/y multiplied by the square root of y in the form of y to the power k again. Right then, so let's simplify this a little bit. So what I like to do is I'll split this up, so we've got 1/y multiplied by 1 over the square root of y. Okay, so the next thing to do is we need to get this out of the fractional form and we need to get it into the form where y is the base raised to the power of k. Okay, so we can rewrite this as y and then to the power of -1 multiplied by y again, and we know it's going to be negative because we've got y on the denominator, and then we've got the square root, so the square root is a half, so it's going to be -1/2. The final thing to do, as the base is the same and we are multiplying, we just need to add these two exponents here, so we end up with y being raised to the power of -3/2. Okay, not too bad. You just need to split this up, make it a bit easier so that you can see what's going on, and then just use the power rules to get -3/2 as our exponent. Okay, let's do our final question then. Okay, so we need to show that the square root of 2¼ is equal to 1.5. Okay, looks like a weird question. Let's try break this down a bit. So what have we got? Let's see. So we're going to convert our mixed number to an improper fraction. So we've got the square root of 2¼ and we can say this is equal to the square root of 9/4. So we just converted this into an improper fraction. Okay, so this is actually the same as saying the square root of 9 over the square root of 4, and this is going to be equal to 3/2. And 3/2, we can say 3/2 is the same as 1.5. Okay, so again we converted to an improper fraction. We split up the square root to take the square root of 9, square root of 4, and we got 1.5.